big challenge that we faced this year was we were really pressuring ourselves to win, and so we were more worried about outcomes rather than just like enjoying the process and taking it literally one possession at a time. So I think there was times where we put our eyes a little bit too far forward instead of just like living in the moment and so forth. So like Skyline was like our big, at Skyline was our big like eye opener of like, we're all feeling, we're no longer having fun. Like we're way too worried about winning instead of just like playing together and doing what we do best. And so once we figured that out, we went on that, 10-game win streak or whatever, right? So before then though, it was just, we were put way too much pressure on us. Looking at just like from start to finish, we had a lot of younger girls playing up as far as like JV varsity, and just that growth watching those younger kids just like figure it out. Because I remember the first JV varsity scrimmage we had, varsity won like 80-20. Like they just smothered JV, and it like got to the point where like the end of the season JV was beating varsity at sometimes. Not all the time, but there was moments where like JV would like actually beat varsity and like make them compete. And so that growth was really fun to see. It's just those younger kids really figuring out like the style that I like to play and like the camaraderie that they developed. Like our JV team was so fun to watch. They're a very like cohesive group, and there wasn't really like a flashy player. It was just like pass, 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 wide open shot, right? Or quick looks in transition. So I love watching that growth, and obviously having a freshman team for the first time, that was really cool to kind of just see the growth of girls basketball in general in the area, because we compete with a lot of sports, which is great, right? We want kids to be involved with all the sports and do what they love, but it's been nice to see a little bit more of a shift towards basketball. So the strength would be for us is just they're really good friends. And this is something I started to see last year, and I found out around the Skyline game that they weren't. So last year, tradition they had was like after every game they'd go get dinner. And so after the Skyline game, I kind of was asking some of the girls like, well, what's going on? Like, why? I feel like there's just a big disconnect. And one of the girls was like, well, we don't go to dinner anymore. And I was like, oh my gosh, you guys should go to dinner. Them just being like good friends off the court was big, right? Because then they could, in a game situation when things were a little bit tight, like they knew that their teammates still loved them when the game was over, or it was just like we were just seeing that competitive side to them rather than like, oh, so-and-so hates me. Like it was just nice, like just how friendly they are. And that went to like all 4 levels. Like they're all just such good friends. Like our sophomore and freshman groups, they've been playing together for a couple years. I mean, the freshman group, there's a couple newbies, but a lot of them just been playing together forever. That sophomore group's been together for 2 years now. So they're all just really good friends. So I think that's like a big strength that we have, is just it's an environment where I think hopefully most of the girls feel safe and included, and that also just helps us play better, right, when they know that their teammates have their back on and off the court. They all shine in different moments. So like breakout kids, I mean Alyssa Blink's been our bread and butter for 4 years. Like, I mean, that's no question. I mean, she's been our leading scorer for 4 years. She was our leading scorer when she was a freshman. So like she's going to be consistent. Like she's going to put up her points. She's going to get her rebounds. So of course, like she's a kid that we want to recognize as a breakout player. Brooklyn, right? She's just a solid point guard. Like she doesn't really get too emotional. And so with her as a point guard, like her as our point guard that doesn't get emotional, right? We don't really get on that roller coaster as much. But Mary was huge because right after the Skyline game we played Brighton, and all of a sudden she was like, I want to score baskets and I want to score at a higher percentage. And so Mary, halfway through region, she was a big breakout as far as for that 10-game win streak. She was huge. Avy Karen was also huge in that breakout. I pulled her from the starting lineup because I was like, Ave, I got to give it to Sarah, because Sarah was always consistent. She shot well. She did her role. Like she was solid. And so I was like, Avy, like Sarah's doing great things. Like I gotta put Sarah in there because Sarah's solid. She's a great 3-point shooter, makes good decisions. And so kind of doing that to Avy kind of pissed Avy off. And so she was like, no, I want my spot back. And so that was fun to watch her break out and actually shoot the ball. And I think after that point, she started averaging 7 points a game versus 3. Abby's also just solid for us. I mean, she's got the height that before my years here was like our tallest was, I mean, Alyssa's tall too, but before them it was like next tallest was like 5'9", right? So like it's been nice to have her height. And then Joss Baker, like she just comes in with her like she's such a workhorse and she's so strong, and she had some key games in the year that really helped us get us some wins. So like that's what I just love about this team is like they all broke out like at different times, or like they stepped up when they needed to. And so it was fun to just kind of see them all have their moments, and I think they all had some breakouts, I guess, is what I would say. Next year, we're going to have to shift just a little bit, right? Like losing Alyssa, like where we can have an offense where it's like, okay, we haven't scored a minute, get the ball to Alyssa, like she can figure out she can score. So for us next year, like a big focus for us is going to be defense, and I'm really excited with that group because they're all really, really fast. Because Addie, I always say that she's got the California defense. She moved from California. She's just this fireball on defense. But like Abby had our most steals on the team. Avy's just a solid defensive player, right? And Joss is long as well. And so it's like we can really use that to our strength next year, is just really trying to be a little bit more strong on the defensive end. I mean, that's also hard to say because we were the third team in the state with the lowest points scored against us. So it's like we still had a pretty solid defensive team last year, but I would love to see us I'd love to get to that one spot where it's like we're known as the defensive team. And then I'm just really excited to see the team play a little bit more next year, where it's like kind of like the JV, where it's just like we just move the ball and someone hits the open shot, right? So, and I think we will still have some kids that can create some shots for us. But like next year, I'm just really excited just to kind of just see, because I think each game we're going to see a different person break out, right? We're just going to see, and I hope to have a lot more steals as well. So I think, so next year I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to just maybe just a little bit, I don't want to say shift in culture, but just like we're just going to have to play different. And I'm excited to just kind of see with the shot clock too, just how we manage that, and hope that we can learn it quickly and use that to our advantage with the strengths that we have. This group is just, I have it like before the senior class especially showed up, it was kind of like, had this group that was just like, they were great kids, right? Like great girls. But it was like pulling teeth to like care about basketball. And I understand basketball's not life, but like when it's season, it kind of is life. Like you've committed to this program, like you've tried out, like you're saying that you want to be a part of this, right? But I just like couldn't ever get them to like give me more, and give me extra, and like just to really put their time in. When this senior group showed up, it was like, we love basketball, like we'll do anything for basketball. And they still like Mary and Alyssa played soccer most of their years. And I mean, Brooklyn played soccer for a couple of, like, I think she played till her sophomore year or whatever, but so like they were still involved in other things, but like when it was basketball season, it was like, it's basketball season, we care, and they worked hard, and they competed. And so like this group has just like changed me just to love basketball. Like I love watching them love it too, and I just like sharing my passion with them has been so much fun. And just watching like this like trail of girls follow this four. Well, there was like 10 of them when they first started, but the four that remained, they just brought this like whole group of kids behind them. Like, we love, like, basketball's cool, like you need to do this. And so that just gave me a whole nother energy. And like all of the girls, like, we're all really close. Like I was kind of joking with the parents the other night, like, because we had our banquet, and I was like, I probably joke about some things with your kids I probably shouldn't. Like we're really good friends, and a lot of the girls said, like, you're my best friend, like I'm gonna miss you, right? And so it's like they've just changed me to be better and just more passionate about basketball, and just continue to keep that energy and passion going for years to come.